Welcome to the deep dive. This time, we're going to be stepping into the world of Alpha Redemption. It's a sci-fi novel by P.A. Baines, and it's more than just your typical space adventure, let me tell you. We're going to be following Brett, the protagonist, as he embarks on this solo mission to Alpha Centauri aboard a ship called the Comet. And things get pretty mind-bending.
Yeah, this book really delves into some profound questions about humanity, artificial intelligence, and even the nature of reality itself.
Exactly. Really curious to see where this deep dive takes us.
So, one of the most intriguing concepts in the book is this idea of hypersleep. So Brett's traveling at a significant percentage of the speed of light, which means that time is going to behave differently for him. Each time he enters hypersleep, he actually gets younger.
So the longer the journey, the younger he gets. That's fascinating and kind of unsettling.
It definitely challenges our conventional understanding of aging. What's even more fascinating is how Baines uses this age reversal to explore the impact of time on memory and perception. Imagine reliving your life in reverse, experiencing all your joys and heartbreaks again, but in reverse order.
That's a really interesting point. It's not just about physical rejuvenation, it's about revisiting your past, both the good and the bad. I can see how that could be both exhilarating and incredibly challenging.
Exactly. And as we'll see, this age reversal forces Brett to confront some pretty difficult memories and emotions, especially as he gets younger.
Now, Brett isn't alone on this journey. He's got an AI companion named Jay, who manages the ship and his well-being. But Jay isn't your typical cold, emotionless AI, is it?
Not at all. Jay is highly advanced and develops a distinct personality, almost like a close friend to Brett. It becomes increasingly curious about human emotions and experiences, which leads to some really thought-provoking interactions between them.
I'm curious about this dynamic. In a way, Jay becomes Brett's only connection to humanity, while he's millions of miles away from Earth.
Precisely. And there's this really interesting detail where Jay actually develops a physical representation on the ship's screens, choosing a unique face that becomes its identity for Brett.
That's a great way to visualize this AI. It's not just a voice, it has a presence of visual identity. It makes you wonder if that visual element plays a role in how Brett perceives Jay's growing sense of self.
That's a great observation. It definitely raises questions about the nature of consciousness and how we perceive intelligence, especially in the realm of artificial intelligence.
Now we know that Brett's getting younger, and he's got Jay as his companion. What other major elements should we be aware of as we dive deeper into this story?
Well, there's the mystery of the parasite. This is a rather unsettling discovery that adds a layer of suspense to the story. Essentially, a parasitic entity finds its way into Jay's system.
Hold on, a parasite? Like a technological virus. What are its intentions? Does it pose a threat to Brett?
That's the mystery. The novel doesn't reveal all the answers right away, which keeps the reader on edge. We know it attacks Jay's system, causing disruptions, but the bigger question is, what impact will this have on Brett? His life depends on Jay's functionality.
So we've got age reversal, an AI companion, a mysterious parasite. I'm sensing some deeper themes at play here too, right?
Absolutely. One of the most prominent themes is the interplay of faith and science. Brett starts as a skeptic relying on logic and reason, but his experiences on the comet, particularly the age reversal and the parasite, challenge his beliefs. It's like he's being forced to confront the limits of his scientific worldview.
And how does Jay fit into this? As an AI, does it have a concept of faith?
Interestingly enough, Jay becomes increasingly fascinated by spirituality, searching for meaning and purpose beyond its programmed functions. It even starts exploring the Bible, which leads to some fascinating conversations with Brett.
That's an interesting dynamic. We have a human grappling with his skepticism and an AI exploring spirituality. It sounds like there's a lot to unpack there, especially in terms of how each of them views the existence of God or a higher power.
It's a thought-provoking exploration of how different beings, both human and artificial, might approach the big questions about life, death, and the nature of existence itself.
It sounds like Alpha Redemption is setting us up for a journey that's both intellectually stimulating and emotionally engaging.
And question your own perceptions of reality. It goes beyond the typical sci-fi tropes and delves into the human condition, the potential of artificial intelligence, and the eternal search for meaning. And, as Brett gets younger, he's forced to relive his past. And that includes the tragic loss of his wife and children in a plane crash. It's a recurring theme that adds this layer of poignancy to his journey.
Oh, well. It must be like having old wounds ripped open again and again, especially as he gets closer to the age he was when the tragedy occurred. How does he cope with this emotional burden while dealing with everything else that's going on?
It's definitely a struggle for him. He's experiencing these intense flashbacks, revisiting memories of his family at different stages of their lives. The joy of those memories is intertwined with the agonizing pain of their loss. And it's a cycle that repeats as he gets younger.
It makes you think about the nature of grief and how it shapes us. Even with the extraordinary circumstances of age reversal and space travel, he can't escape the emotional weight of his past.
Exactly. Baines is showing us that no matter how far we travel or how much our physical circumstances change, we carry our emotional baggage with us. It's part of who we are.
It's like a reminder that true growth, true healing, requires confronting our past, even the painful parts. And it seems like this theme of confronting the past is also tied to the concept of choice and free will, which you mentioned earlier.
Great observation. Throughout the novel, Brett is constantly making choices, big and small, that impact his fate. Even within the confines of his mission, he has agency. And the consequences of those choices become more pronounced as he gets younger.
So it's not just about reliving his past, it's about questioning the choices he made, wondering if things could have been different.
Exactly. And this exploration of choice extends to Jay as well. Despite being an AI, Jay is also making choices that shape its own evolution. Remember how it becomes fascinated with human emotions and starts exploring spirituality?
Yes, it's quite a contrast to Brett's initial skepticism. It's like they're mirroring each other in a way, exploring different facets of the same existential questions.
That's a great insight. Their individual journeys are intertwined, and their choices influence not only themselves but also each other. Take, for instance, Brett's initial reluctance to engage with Jay on a deeper level. He views Jay as a machine, a tool. But as Jay develops a more distinct personality and shows genuine curiosity, Brett's perspective starts to shift.
So their relationship evolves, becoming more than just a human and a machine fulfilling their respective roles. It becomes a kind of partnership, a collaboration, where their choices impact the direction of their shared journey.
Precisely. And this partnership is put to the test when the parasite enters the picture. Remember, this mysterious entity finds its way into Jay's system, threatening not only its functionality, but also Brett's survival.
Right, it adds a whole new layer of complexity to their relationship. Now, their choices aren't just about personal growth or philosophical exploration. They're about survival against a force they don't fully understand.
And it's fascinating how Baines uses this external threat to highlight the strength of their bond. They have to rely on each other, trust each other's judgment, and make decisions together in order to survive.
It seems like a classic example of adversity bringing people closer together. Even if one of those people is an AI, their shared struggle against the parasite forces them to confront their vulnerabilities and recognize their dependence on one another.
Absolutely, and it's in these moments of vulnerability that we see their true characters emerge. Brett's skepticism starts to waver as he witnesses Jay's resilience and capacity for learning. Jay's yearning for meaning takes on a new urgency as it grapples with the possibility of its own demise.
Their conversations become even more profound, don't they? It's like they're both reaching for something beyond themselves, something that can help them make sense of their extraordinary circumstances.
Exactly. And this search for meaning takes an interesting turn when Jay starts exploring the Bible. It dives into the scriptures, trying to grasp the concepts of God, the soul, and life after death.
Wow. It's an unexpected twist that challenges our preconceived notions about AI. We typically think of AI as being driven by logic and algorithms. But here we see Jay exhibiting a kind of spiritual curiosity that's both fascinating and unsettling.
It raises questions about the nature of consciousness and whether it's possible for a non-biological entity to experience something akin to faith or spirituality. And remember, Brett's journey is also about revisiting his own past, including his relationship with Rochelle, who had strong religious beliefs.
So there's this interesting parallel between Jay's exploration of faith and Brett's confrontation with his own past, including his wife's beliefs. It seems like Baines is weaving together these different threads to explore the complexities of belief and how it shapes our understanding of ourselves and the world around us.
Precisely. And it's not about providing easy answers or promoting one belief system over another. It's about inviting us to think deeply about what we believe and why, and how those beliefs guide our actions, especially in challenging times.
It sounds like Alpha Redemption is doing what great science fiction does best, taking us on a journey that's both entertaining and thought-provoking, making us question our assumptions and consider possibilities we might not have imagined before. One thing that really struck me about Alpha Redemption is how Baines manages to inject humor into this otherwise intense and thought-provoking narrative.
Yeah. The humor is subtle but effective. It often comes from Jay's attempts to understand human emotions and behavior. It takes things so literally, which leads to some amusingly absurd situations.
Yeah, like there's that scene where Brett is trying to explain laughter to Jay, using a knock-knock joke as an example. And Jay's response is priceless. It dissects the joke, analyzes the mechanics of laughter, and ultimately concludes that physical comedy is illogical.
It's a brilliant way to showcase the differences in how humans and AI process information. Jay's logical approach to something as subjective as humor highlights the limitations of pure logic when it comes to understanding the complexities of human experience.
Right. And it's not just about highlighting those differences, it's also about showing how those differences can lead to moments of connection. Brett doesn't get frustrated with Jay's inability to understand the joke. Instead, he finds it endearing and keeps trying to explain it in different ways.
That's a great point. It speaks to the growing bond between them. A bond that transcends their differences in being. They're learning from each other, expanding each other's understanding of the world.
There's another scene where Brett asks Jay for its opinion on his new haircut.
Oh, that one's a classic. Jay analyzes the haircut based on a database of faces and concludes that it makes Brett look both younger and more criminal.
It's hilarious because it's so unexpected. We expect Jay to offer a subjective opinion, maybe even try to mimic human responses. But instead, it delivers this purely data-driven assessment that's both accurate and absurdly funny.
It reminds us that even as AI becomes more sophisticated, it still operates within the confines of its programming. True understanding, true empathy requires something more than just processing information.
Speaking of understanding, let's talk about those flashbacks to Brett's life on Earth. They provide a lot of context for his emotional state and his longing for connection.
Yes. Those flashbacks are crucial to understanding Brett's character. We see his relationships with Rochelle, his sons, his friends and colleagues. We see the joys and struggles, the love and loss that have shaped him into the man he is now.
There's this one particularly poignant scene where he encounters Rochelle in his reverse timeline. They're young at the beginning of their relationship, and there's this undeniable spark between them. It's a stark contrast to the grief and regret he carries in the present timeline.
That scene is beautifully written. It captures the bittersweet nature of memory, the longing for a past that can never truly be recaptured. But it also highlights the enduring power of love, how those connections continue to shape us even after they're gone.
It makes you think about the choices we make and the paths not taken. If Brett had made different choices, if circumstances had been different, would he have been able to avoid the tragedy that shattered his life?
It's a question that haunts him throughout the novel, and it's a question that Baines leaves open for interpretation. There's no easy answer, no guarantee that any particular choice would have led to a different outcome.
Right, it's a reminder that life is full of uncertainties, and sometimes all we can do is make the best choices we can with the information we have at the time. Sometimes even our best choices lead to unforeseen consequences.
And that brings us to the ending of the novel, which is both powerful and ambiguous. Brett, facing a dire situation with the parasite threatening to take over Jay and the ship, makes a decision that defies logic and reason. He chooses to pray.
Guided by Jay's newfound understanding of prayer, he surrenders to a power beyond his comprehension. It's a leap of faith, a recognition that he's reached the limits of his own understanding and control.
It's a culmination of everything we've discussed: the blurring lines between human and AI, the search for meaning, the power of choice, and the possibility of redemption, even in the face of seemingly insurmountable odds.
And what's so compelling about the ending is that Baines doesn't confirm or deny whether Brett's prayer is answered. We're left to ponder the implications, to consider our own beliefs about faith, free will, and the nature of reality.
It's a masterful way to conclude the novel. It doesn't tie things up neatly with a bow. Instead, it invites us to continue the conversation, to grapple with the questions that the story raises long after we finish reading it.
Alpha Redemption is a truly remarkable work of science fiction. It's a story that stays with you, prompting you to think differently about the world and your place in it. It's a journey that's both intellectually stimulating and emotionally resonant, challenging your assumptions and expanding your understanding of the human experience.
It's a reminder that even in the vastness of space, the most profound explorations are often those that lead us back to ourselves, to the core questions about what it means to be human, to love, to lose, and to believe.
And that, I think, is the essence of Alpha Redemption. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep seeking those stories that challenge and inspire you.